So we just wanted to bring you all together today to have a bit of a grand finale and a wrap up. So thank you again for joining us. Before we get started, I'm just going to go through a few housekeeping rules to help you get the most out of this session. First up, there should be a help button as well. Just drop into the chat and let us know. These are not the right slides, so apologies for that. That is for a different platform. But yes, if you need any help, then just drop that in the chat and we'll be able to help you with anything that you've got there. There will be Q&A at the end. We'd love to see you on camera. If you are available to come on camera, then we would like to see your faces as well. So please do come on, drop your LinkedIn details in the chat so you're able to connect with each other too after the event and keep in touch with each other. It's nice to see the connections that are being made throughout April as well. We've got the reactions button at the top of the page as well. So if you click on that, then you'll be able to like or clap and react to some of the comments that are being made throughout the session. So please do utilise that as well. And if you're not coming in to speak, then please do keep yourself on mute and use the hands up button as well to highlight your box yellow, and that'll help let us know that you want to come in to speak and make sure that everybody gets the chance. So we've got a bit of presentations today, but there will be an opportunity for Q&A and there will be some opportunities to discuss and interact at the end. So please do take the opportunity to get involved and join the discussions. So to kick things off, we've got Bridget Foley, who is head of ACCA Advocacy Manager, sorry. So Bridget, if I can hand over to you.
Thanks, Amanda. I can be head off, I don't mind that. So it's great to see so many of you on the call today. I really appreciate you taking the time out, especially over lunch. It really has been a bumper April with Community Connect, and it's been so interesting to hear from you your insights through storytelling and also your question and answer sessions that we've run across the month. So thank you for engaging with us. We've really appreciated that. I think I was really engaged with the activity calendar. I think it's been a great vehicle on a daily basis to channel our passions, your passions, ACCA's passions, and bring those together. So I'd be delighted to hear how you've manipulated that calendar and what activities you've got up to. We've also partnered with our colleagues at Coffee Roulette, and I'm really looking forward to hearing how you might have connected with, first of all, people that you already know in your network, but also more importantly, those new people that you've made connections with. So please don't be shy when we go to question and answer. I'd love to hear those stories and some of your feedback. Community Connect has been really about communities, and I just wanted to read a definition of community. It's a unified body of individuals, people with a common interest, an interarching population of various kinds of individuals who offer support, encouragement and challenge. And I think we've achieved that with Community Connect, but obviously we want to hear from you. So I've got a few colleagues on the call today. I've got Chris from Brand, Narayanan from Professional Insights, Amanda, Astrid, Mel from the Communities team. But I'm going to hand over to Narayanan first. He's going to talk to you about our Professional Insights programme, and please do wait around, listen to Narayanan, listen to Chris and raise those questions that you might have. So over to you, Narayanan.
Thank you very much for that, Bridget, and a very warm welcome, first of all, to all of you. And thank you once again, if I can just echo the thanks to all of you for making the time to join us in this session. What I thought I'll do, and I don't know if I can move the slides myself. I think I can. Yes, I can. OK, so what I thought I'll do is just take you through a brief canter through essentially our policy research and insights approach and program, not necessarily to tell you everything about everything, but I'm very conscious that, you know, the people on this call are quite engaged with ACCA, which we're thankful for, and they have opportunities to contribute. And what I'd like to do is also reflect on how members can be more involved and can be a part of some of the work that we do in this space. We would really value that. We know that all of you have particular expertise and experience in different sectors, different types of work that you do, and we produce research, insights, and policy work across various different areas. So there will be a touch point somewhere on something that we're doing at some point in time. So with that little preamble, if I can just start with that first slide there, and I'm not necessarily proposing to go through all of it, but I really wanted to give you just a little bit of a realistic flavor of what we've got on the radar. So as you can see there, the way we talk about our policy and our research, there's a lot going on there. So let me just quickly take you through it. The arrow in the center of the slide, which is going from left to right, is really setting out, how we talk about the big overarching themes, if you like, using which we align the work that we do. So we, for this year and looking ahead, are very much focused on this notion of accounting for a better world. And the thinking around that is, how does the accountancy profession and professional accountants, really highlighting how they are helping to make the world a little bit better, while recognizing that there are complex issues in the world, geopolitical issues, various things. We're not suggesting that all the answers reside within one group of people, but really to showcase that there is a very wide-ranging impact that the profession has every day in the work that professional accountants like yourselves and others do. And in that, we split that into three things around the profession, and that's that first piece that I was talking about. And the reports in the red font are sort of reports that speak directly to the theme for that period of the year. So they sort of split into three periods of 4 months each, if you like. So Accounting for a Better World is, a report that will that essentially looks at the dimensions of how the accountancy profession is making that value, whether it's across skills, whether it's across the ethical and public interest agenda, whether it's across sustainability. It's just really making that case. And then we have in the next one around your career, we're talking a little bit more around the educational agenda and the role of EdTech. And there are lots of reports in the middle there and short briefing papers as well, which I'll briefly refer to as well. And then we have a set of things that are sector specific. So if you look at the bottom there, there's something around the SME and SMP toolkit. So that I just called out because I know many of you in this call might be particularly interested in the SME SMP sector, and also the fact that not everything we do has to be a report. So that toolkit and some of those things are more around, it could be a set of articles, it could be, specific kind of collaterals that help to provide insight on a particular problem that is relevant to the SMP space. So I think one of the things we're also keen to do is everything doesn't have to be a big report. So there are lots of different ways in which knowledge, insight, and information can be generated and shared, podcasts and so forth, and various other things. I think I would also call out in terms of the talent trends in finance. So that's really something that we're proposing as an annual survey. So that will really pick up on some big topical trends that are pertinent to talent within the accountancy profession. And that will be coming out annually at the start of each year, starting next year. And also climate finance, which will be building on our commentary at the time of COP26, which was the climate action report. So this is really a green finance related report and the financing solutions. So essentially, everybody is talking about climate change. Everybody is talking about the need to hit net zero. But the reality is that hitting net zero costs money. And so the accountancy profession has a real role to play in articulating that and helping the ecosystem understand what the cost of climate change is and how that needs to be absorbed within organizations. And that report is the first step towards starting to reflect on that in a slightly more structured way. So, you know, we're happy to share. I'm certainly happy to share for my section the slides that I've got here. So, you know, I don't think we need to feel obligated to go through each line item here right now. But really, I just wanted to leave you with the notion that it's you know, a wide and varied program, and you know, we are very sure that there will be lots of opportunities. I mean, I just call out one more, I guess, that I'm personally involved with, which is coming out in less than a month's time, which is FinTech State of Play. So it's a FinTech report, and that's in the top left, just below the GEC Global Economic Conditions report. So that's really that report is going to be talking about career opportunities for accountants working in FinTech, and it's based on 20 case studies across various various types of roles within fintech. So that'll be coming out at the end of May. What I would also say is that, like many of you in your own organizations, I'm sure ACC is very, very intentionally thinking about the Sustainable Development Goals across everything that it does. And the Research and Insights program is no exception to that. And every piece of collateral that we generate, whether it's a report, it's a podcast, it's a toolkit, we are thinking very carefully about how it really fits and sits within any of these SDG commitments. And ACC has its own set of structured SDG commitments that it's made, which I'm sure you can find on our website and pronouncements that we've made. But this is just to draw that out. I'd also like to reflect a little bit on particularly the member involvement piece, and one of the things I know that I just thought I'd pick two areas that I thought would be a little bit specific, in addition to the broader observation around welcoming member involvement and seeking to try and assist with that as much as possible from our side as well. One is to do with SMPs, and I know many of you may be familiar with this and have been involved. So in March 2021, we launched Practice Connect. And that's essentially a hub dedicated to small and medium practices, and essentially a place to host all of our resources for SMPs, whether that's PI reports, case studies, podcasts, webinars, event-related information. And the overarching ambition, the big picture here, is to make it the main go-to source, essentially, for I'm sorry, I forgot to move the slides. I don't know if you're actually moving with me on the, apologies, that's my bad. So this is where I was, and I was just talking about the Practice Connect, and really just saying that the idea is to make it the main go-to source for all of our SMP members globally. And I think related to that idea of the hub of Practice Connect is the practice room. And again, you know, I'd just like to sort of reiterate our heartfelt thanks to all of you that continue to contribute to this. And as you'll know, the practice room is a place for SMP members to connect, to learn from each other, and essentially to start to build a globally connected community. So I think, unlike large corporations that may have internal global networks, this is an opportunity for those in the SMP space to also build those same kind of globally connected community options. It's hosted by SMP members with a strong aspiration to transform, I think I'd say, the global SMP sector. I think it's an opportunity for peer-to-peer connections, sharing of knowledge, and I guess providing also support to markets where there isn't a dedicated SMP support. So it's also about being able to fill those kind of gaps. And whether those are through informal conversational sessions, the SMP hosts opening discussions on typically very practical topics of importance to SMPs, because these are people who are in that world themselves, and how to future-proof the profession and tackle really very relatable issues. The second series of the Practice Room, which is a sort of peer-to-peer community discussions, hosted, and that was launched in February of 2022. And these are essentially bi-monthly sessions taking place every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. And collectively hosted by 2 to 3 hosts from different markets. So and you know, supporting that, there's the LinkedIn group as well, and I believe it has about 170 members as of the end of April. So there is a good a baseline of experience and talent there to draw from. And finally, I'd just like to close on another sort of community initiative, which is to do with the upcoming FinTech report that I referred to. So that report is co-branded with CANZ, coming out at the end of May. And it's about job roles and skills for professional accountants seeking to seeking to work in FinTech. It's based on case studies, as I said, and also a global survey of 5,700 accountancy and finance professionals, predominantly ACCA and CANZ members and future member students. I should say that, like the S&P agenda, this is a huge topic, and we can't cover everything in one report. So, the fact that the report's being published next month, and if you haven't had a chance to get involved, please don't be concerned by that, because, this is the start of a much bigger conversation. It's a fast-moving topic, and there'll be many more ongoing opportunities to involve members in this area. And related to that, we are also creating a FinTech interest group. It's basically for ACCA members who are connected to FinTech, and they could be a founder or an owner of a FinTech startup, an employee in a FinTech. They could be servicing FinTech clients, and they're willing to share their perspectives with fellow community members. So at the moment, we've got about 40 members who are signed up to it. It's a LinkedIn group which will be launching in full earnest alongside the report itself at the 31st of May. And we found that, people have expressed an interest for a variety of reasons. Either one of the things we've heard is that existing FinTech networks, they're either very tech orientated in terms of techie people, or very front office sales business people type. And there isn't really a network of professional accountants in FinTech in quite that way, a global network. So that was a gap in the market. It's obviously a networking opportunity, UK and global. We've had interest from a body called Innovate Finance, which is a UK, many of you may know, is a UK industry body for FinTech, and they would like to collaborate with us and also share perspectives. And they have a little network of their own that they're setting up as well. So there may be opportunities for cross-pollination and sharing knowledge and insights across the two networks. So they represent, their agenda is to promote British FinTech internationally, and we have a network that has both UK FinTech professionals and international FinTech professionals. Some potentially good synergies there. And I'd say the other things also, we also see opportunities from members who perhaps want to give back or want to share their expertise and so forth. So for a variety of reasons like that. So hopefully that gives you a sense of what we're doing in the policy and insights world, and also to reiterate that we very much welcome and will continue to reflect on how we can best involve our members in the work that we're doing. So I think we're doing Q&A at the end, so I will leave it there for now, and perhaps if I can pass on to my colleague Chris. Is it you're next?
Great, thanks Narayanan, thanks very much for that, and hi everyone, and great to see you all. So I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about how we are going to promote our brand during the next year. So we do that in all sorts of ways, and it's about, well, it's your brand, it's the brand of our membership, of our members, it's what people think when they see ACCA, the kind of response that it inspires in them. But I want to focus in particular on one thing which Narayan has in fact already started to talk about, which is an initiative we are launching this year, and you might already have seen the words Accounting for a Better World. I'm just saying my camera should be on, Bridget. You're not, just checking that you're not seeing me. Okay, I'm on. Okay, so about that, folks. So yes, so Accounting for a Better World, that's going to be our big storytelling strapline for the year, and that's what I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes or so just talking you through. So what is it? So in one sense, it's going to be a very long-lasting initiative, and what we're trying to do is to tell the story of the value and of the importance of the accountancy profession, and within that of ACCA and all of its members, and particularly in building sustainable economies, in building sustainable organisations in the public and the private sector, and in driving accountability and creating public trust. Now, lots of targets for this, but one in a long-term sense, an important target is policymakers, so governments, regulators, standard setters, all those sort of people, governments nationally and regionally, and of course the donor community and well, all sorts of influencers around the world. We need to what we're aiming to do is to get them to see or persuade them to see the value of the accountancy profession in a much stronger way than they do at the moment, and you know, that will be beneficial for ACCA and the reputation of all of our members, and we can sort of explore that a bit when we get to the discussion. So that's kind of a long-term foundation for the year and beyond. You'll be familiar with the concept of the brand themes, which Narayanan already has been through some of the reports which underpin our brand themes for this year. So the Accounting for the Better World will be the heading for all of our brand themes this year. And in the brand themes, you know, we seek to engage all of our members and future members and employers at a very kind of wide group of people to inspire, to motivate, to mobilize, and all those sort of things. So and I think, you know, one of the things to think about this, we're coming out, well, we're still in, but in some senses coming out of the COVID crisis, which has driven so many very fundamental changes. Here we all are sitting on a Teams meeting in different locations, which is now a very normal thing, you know, but 2 years ago that wasn't the case. We've got, very sadly, all of these difficult conflicts around the world, and then, you know, all of them distracting, you might argue, from the very fundamental climate crisis in the background. And you've got kind of a greater sort of societal desire, a societal concern for change, and we're very much tapping into that. So just to kind of explore the kind of reasons, the thinking behind it, you can sort of read some of the points on this slide. So not new for ACCA, you know, right from our conception, it's always been about the public good. It's written into our purpose, and you know, for many years we've worked with all of these groups to strengthen the accountancy profession and generally enhance the role of the accountancy profession in making the world a better place, in driving improvements in economies, improvements in ethical behaviours, improvements in business, all of those sort of things. But we're very much at a pivotal point now, and you know, for reasons of society, but also for competitive reasons. We need to be showing that the accountancy profession is right at the heart and centre of all these issues and concerns, and really talk about the important role that we've got to play and mobilise as a profession, because if we don't do that, we risk becoming irrelevant, and there's really nothing worse than that in every term, and especially in brand terms. One of the things that we'll be kind of emphasising is through the nature of the accountancy profession right across the world, at the heart of organisations of all sizes, in all sectors, in the public sector, in the private sector, in the charitable sector. So as a profession, we have a huge and very kind of widespread influence sort of from within. We have a lot of influence to actually take practical actions and to drive things with our colleagues and within our businesses and with our employers. So that's the idea, is to mobilise and to shout more loudly about the story, and help shape, you know, we're talking about a new relationship really between businesses and governments, between how the kind of different parts of society interact. So that's the kind of big picture aim of it. Now, with the brand themes and everything that we do as a brand, the work of Narayanan and his team is of very much foundational importance in our planning. We work very closely to make sure that all the great research they've coming out kind of works with our brand themes and provides a lot of the kind of the content, the underpinning content, and this one is really no different. So Narayanan talked about the Accounting for a Better World report here, which we've released. Some of you may have seen it in our emails, sort of magazines and promotions, or on social media. And this kind of really underpins the idea of Accounting for a Better World. it's a very big concept. You know, we're going across sustainability, inclusion, governance, you know, lots of areas. So what this report has done, written by Jamie Lyon, who's in Narayanan's team, we've looked at, you know, how are we, how is the profession contributing? What is our role in creating the future that we want? And you can see that he's sort of divided it into these 7 sort of areas here. I won't kind of read them all out, but if you look at the report and all of the campaign material that we've released now and will release over the year, it's very much sort of structured around this. And you can, you know, it talks to our capacity building activities, building resilient economies, developing talent, of course, is the main thing, and of course sustainability of all organisations, very, very key. Well, at the moment and for all of the future, really. So you can see, and then entrepreneurial growth, obviously hugely important there. So I mean, these are all really important, and this gives us a great structure for having the conversations and for building that impact and profile that we want to achieve. So how are we doing this? So we're right at the beginning of this journey now. If you want to kind of explore things more thoroughly, if you go onto acccaglobal.com and follow the big link at the top of the page, you get onto our campaign page and you'll see lots of information there. So you'll see a link to the report I've just talked about. You'll see a link through to a selection of stories that we've got about your fellow members in different parts of the world, doing sort of great things to improve the societies that they work in. So, for example, we've got some members in India who are working on a financial literacy initiative among children and young people to sort of inspire them to better futures and improve that knowledge to help drive, you know, a better society, a better economy. We've got a member in Nigeria who has launched an organisation to help small farmers with their financing to make them more prosperous. So, you know, they can keep more of the money, reduce the reliance on middlemen, so which include, you know, improves their own prosperity, but also helps to deal with some of the kind of food inequalities in that country. And there's lots of stories across all of the 7 areas around that. I'd recommend next Wednesday, there's the Accounting for a Better World webinar. We've got Orla Collins, our president, and we've got some other great speakers on that, including Jamie, the report author, and you can sign up for that. If you haven't already, just go to acccaglobal.com and follow the link to the campaign page, and it's also promoted further down the homepage. Right now, we've got our Earth Day experience. So again, if you go to acccaglobal.com, scroll down and you'll see a sort of promotional link to it and follow that. And that really is aimed at sort of promoting the idea of the role of accountants in achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals or the targets by 2030. And it sets out a kind of blueprint of different areas for those who don't know much about them, of ways that we need to kind of improve the world by 2030 to get to a better place. And it asks you to kind of select 3, which is actually a tough thing to do, you know, which ones are more important to you, and explain your reasons why. And what we're trying to do is really kind of drive engagement, drive knowledge, and sort of drive the idea of the role that accountants have to play. In a few weeks, when we've got, hopefully a lot of people will have interacted with it, we kind of will collect all the information and can present a picture of what concerns the accountancy profession across the world back to all of you. So that's the idea. So, and thanks Astrid for putting in the link. So that's good. It is a good one, this webinar, so I'd definitely be worthwhile signing up for it. And then if you have a look at the campaign page I just talked about, we've also put together a kit so that our members and other people can hold their own conversations, and in there you'll find a bit of a discussion guide, some questions, and sort of hints and tips for carrying out this kind of the sort of conversation on this topic. So again, that's all about advocacy and spreading the word. Social media campaign. So again, that's a thing that will play out in different ways over the year, and we'll see different sort of aspects of it. So some of you might already have seen the report promoted on social media. We've been promoting the webinar, and then over the year, as the campaign and the different kind of initiatives roll out, you know, that you'll see more of that. So for example, we'll be focusing on some of the stories that I talked about earlier, and you know, over the course of the year we'll be planning more events and engagement activities. Narayan painted a bit of a picture of the kind of more PI reports coming out in this area over the year, so watch out for all of those. And of course, in AB Magazine already and over the year, you'll see a sort of range of frequently kind of updated and refreshed content, which deals with all of the areas really that I've talked about. And a little bit later on, I'll paint a picture of our brand themes forward through the year. So just to go through the resources here. So I talked about the campaign page, so that's where it is. If you want to get a sort of quite a quick read idea of it, I'd recommend our external brochure, which you can find on the campaign page under the sort of 7 priorities for action. You'll see a link to it. There's a PowerPoint presentation you can share and use. I talked about the discussion guide. I talked about the stories. The stories are really good. I'd spend a few minutes looking at the stories, because if you're talking to people or in meetings, there's some nice examples that you can roll out there, and they're very inspiring. And incidentally, that's not a static thing. We're going to grow that kind of bank of stories over the year. And if any of you do come across good stories that you think fit the bill that we can promote, just get in contact, and myself or one of the colleagues can follow that up, because it's great to have examples. We're just putting the finishing touches to a promotional video, so we'll be kind of launching that, and you'll see that on our email, website, and social media campaign, and the rest of it I've talked about as well. And also on that campaign page, you can see a link to our global policy positions. So that's definitely worth a look as well. So lots to explore there, and lots of material there, which will hopefully give you things to talk about and to share. And so just kind of moving on to that. So I mean, I suppose the main thing is just being aware of all the kind of resources and the information, and it's all there, and taking that and using it and spreading our word and building our reputation in whatever way you can. But here are some sort of specific ideas. So the Earth Day experience, take part in that and share it with your connections. Host a big conversation that we talked of that, and generally just big up the profession. I think, just looking ahead to our brand theme. So Accounting for a Better World, that remains the overarching title of our sort of campaigning and promotions this year for the kind of second brand theme. So at the moment, we're looking at it through the prism of the profession as a whole. So this theme 1 is called Our Profession. Theme 2, we'll be looking at it through the prism of your career. So kind of looking at it through that focus and bringing it all a little bit back more to the individual. And we do think that this, so for example, inspiring future generations, that this is a profession with purpose, and the impact they can have. There's another great advocacy opportunity there, of course, but also trying to kind of mobilize members to make sure that they're keeping their skills up to date, and looking at CPD opportunities, for example, in some of these new areas. So that's the sort of areas that we'll be focusing on then. And then for the final theme, we'll be kind of like taking a slightly different lens, so looking at it through the lens of organisations, both in the private and the public sector. So we've called that one Business and Government. So yeah, an exciting year. It's been a very inspiring project to work on, and also, you know, just, you know, in terms of where we are in history, it just seems an important strategic position for us as a profession to take in terms of our future success. So that's it. That's it for me. But yeah, happy obviously to take any questions or comments when we get to the discussion.
Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you, Narayanan. And there are some great opportunities to amplify our brand and your voices. And so make sure that you have a look at those links in the chat. I'd love to now to open the floor for some questions. And I know we've got some really positive people on the call, but yeah, please don't be shy. Raise your hand or come off camera and speak. David, I'm looking at you because I can see you. And you're on mute. That's it.
I'm off mute now. I was just in the process of typing a message there to say well done to all the speakers today, and well done to the sectors and communities, our engagement team, on a great month of events. I have another coffee roulette this afternoon with one of your longest standing panel members, and both of us are very much looking forward to catching up.
Great, that's really good to hear. Thank you, David. Anyone else want to ask? Well, we've got Narayanan and Chris, and you know they're very busy people, so it's great that we've got them captured for a few more minutes. So please do fire some questions at them. I'm looking, there's nothing in the chat. I guess what I would ask then, let me kick it off, Chris and Narayanan, what excites you about the PI themes that are coming through, and what our members can really achieve by using the assets that we're giving them? What excites you about that?
I think I can sort of kick that off. I mean, I think I think one of the kind of reflections through the kind of COVID crisis is that in, well, a lot, or you could argue every organisation, I think all the challenges that it presented really brought home the importance of all the kind of individual accountants working in those organisations in all sorts of roles, kind of, you know, dealing with very sort of difficult challenges and you know, trying to get their businesses to survive and make the changes, you know, painful sometimes, that they needed to make to get through the crisis. I do think that with the climate and this sort of change in the kind of demands of society, I think that in a different way, there's a similar kind of opportunity for the profession. And you know, although perhaps for some people it may not seem like it, I think actually, you know, accountants at the heart of the businesses do have a really kind of big influence, whatever their role to drive these changes and to be advocates. So yeah, so that kind of purpose bit, I think, really excites me.
Thank you, Chris. Narayanan, anything to add? I'm sure you have a view.
No, I think I'd really echo what Chris has said there. I think he's covered it really well. And I think, you know, in terms of what really excites me personally as well is, you know, I'm constantly amazed by, not amazed, but I'm constantly, you know, in a sense amazed, but also, you know, heartened and really excited by, you know, the involvement, the enthusiasm, and also the expertise of, you know, our stakeholders and our members around the world, and also the ability for this community to be, you know, able to speak a very similar sort of language, and for two people who are ACCM members in two completely different parts of the world, to be able to kind of get exactly where the other person's coming from. You know, there is something quite amazing about that, to me, and I see it time and time again.
Yeah.
And I think that really, to me, you know, is very exciting, because, you know, it really shows that, you know, there's so much power and potential in this community.
Yeah, I mean, our members and our future members are our assets, aren't they? Not just
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah, very much. We've got a question. David's put something in saying, from a future-looking lens perspective, how do the Professional Insights team determine each year the topics to be covered?
Yeah, sure. And that's a very good question, David. And the first thing I should say is that the Professional Insights team doesn't determine the topics by themselves, locking themselves up in a room and deciding what they feel like doing for the year. So that's definitely not the way it happens. There's a very structured and a fairly long process of consultation. So it's typically, a 4 to 5 month process. So essentially, at any given point in time, we are either doing or planning or both, but because it's a long process, and the reason it's long is because we consult with essentially our offices around the world, and we basically take in views from stakeholders that we deal with, and they in turn, our staff colleagues and offices around the world deal with stakeholders in their respective regions, and they have a sense of what is really valuable to be talking about at a given point in time, and what will also push the conversation forward, and what will also represent an area where ACCA has an important role to play and ought to have a voice. So there are a whole list of knockout criteria that we would then apply to that raw material of things, and then we play that back to our colleagues as well. So there's a feedback cycle as well, and then through all of that, and then of course Chris and his team and colleagues from a brand point of view are also very much involved with that, and we work in lockstep with them as well, because they have a very important role to play in the messaging and what we're trying to actually say to the external world on the back of the background work, if you like, that the research represents. So I think the process sort of takes all of that into account in coming up with that future-looking lens that we seek to continually be pushing. The idea ultimately is to keep pushing the conversation and make sure that we take the conversation forward to areas where, even if sometimes it feels a little bit unknown or a little bit of a step into the unknown, we want to make sure we're taking the conversation forward and really pushing that think ahead agenda.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps.
Thank you, Narayan. And I would say, we give our members and future members the tools to amplify our messaging, but we don't prescript what you say about it. What we want to encourage is your own language to connect with your communities so that you can generate a great conversation around the Professional Insights contents, and then give us your insights back. It's really important to us that you have the voice to share what we're putting out there, really, I guess. Amanda,
Narayan, sorry, I was just going to jump in there, Narayan, and say, like if there's people on the call today that either themselves think, oh, that's really my topic, I've got a lot to say on that, I could really support that research, or if they know people that they think, oh, you should absolutely talk to this person, like how do they get involved with the PI research? What's the best ways?
Sure, and I mean it doesn't have to be complicated. So they can literally just reach out to, for example, yourself, Amanda, or your colleagues. They're very welcome to reach out to me directly as well. I don't have a problem with that at all. Ultimately, if they feel that, so for example, I don't know if any of them are familiar with some of the things that I've tended to comment on, which tend to be related to emerging technologies, AI, fintech, and so forth. So if it pertains to that, by all means, reach out to me directly. If they're not sure who the right person is, perhaps Amanda, yourself, or other colleagues in your team could be a first point of call, and then we're of course connected internally on an ongoing basis, so we can work out where to. Who would be the best person that could get back to the individual. So it doesn't have to be a difficult process at all.
Okay, perfect. So it's just a case of look out for things that spark your interest and let us know if you've got things to say about them.
Definitely.
Sorry, Bridget, you were going to...
I was just going to ask you, did you want to do the poll now, or do you want to wait till a bit later?
We could just have the next bit, and then I'll do the poll before we close.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm just keen, is there any other questions from the floor, really? I know we've got Claire Jenkins on the call. I wonder if Claire normally has something that she wants to add or ask. Nothing from Claire? Just being shy? No? No more message. Okay, so no more questions from the floor, I'm afraid, gentlemen. But appreciate that insight into what you're doing for ACCA, and thank you very much for your time. I think now I'd like to move on. This is your part of the call, the audience. I'd like to investigate what you've been talking about through Community Connect April. Perhaps we've heard from David about his coffee roulette later, but I'd like to hear some feedback, maybe warts and all. We're very happy to take constructive feedback, but what have you been doing throughout the month that you'd like to tell us about, really, and how you've connected with your community and maybe new communities? So, yeah, don't be shy.
I know we've got Chenge on the call, and you've had some of your coffee roulette sessions. Do you want to let other people know about those, Chenge? Don't know if she can hear me.
No, maybe.
Or Lee, I know you've been involved with some of the sessions as well and attended the Member Insights one and things like that.
Sorry, just trying to get my camera to work.
Hi, Lee. Hi.
Hiya. Yeah, no, I found it great. It's been useful in the structure, the ability to do bits and pieces sort of in our size bites has been good. The coffee roulette's been interesting. It has lined me up with one of my more recent colleagues who I only stopped working with 4 weeks ago, but it's nice. It's got us talking again in respect to that. So I found, as somebody that's come back to panel after, oh, it must be a good 7, 8 years since I was on the York panel. It's been nice to find out all the different chunks that people are working on and the special areas of focus. So I've really enjoyed that.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Lee. It's great to have you back. That's brilliant. Anyone else that'd like to just share maybe a snippet of what they've done, maybe through the activity calendar, maybe signing up for the pledge, the Earth Day pledge that we've heard so much about?
I can see we've got Edith on. I know, Edith, you were on the Talking Wellbeing session. You want to come in and tell us a bit more about that?
Hi, Edith.
Hiya, my name is Edith Yembra, and I'm part of the public sector panel. I think one of the ones I was involved with recently was the trustees, and I found that really, really good. And I think that's our way of giving something back to the community as ACCA members, because we're all like qualified accountants, we've worked, and when you get to a certain stage in your life, you actually want to give things back to the community, and becoming a trustee, which is either paid or non-paid in the charity world, most of the time is non-paid as a non-executive director. I think it's something that we thought was very good, and that ACCA is encouraging this. And the people that I spoke to, most of us there were actually already trustees, and that is what we thought, you know, it's our way of giving something back, and we want to take this into the future, and for us to go back to our respective panel and then tell the panel, make them aware of the importance of doing this. And I think that was really helpful. And we were also moving forward as far as to probably set up a LinkedIn for this, or either collaborate with the public sector and then make it one bigger family, and so that people can do what they needed to do. And I think I was also involved in doing, I think I did a few of the Talking Charity series, because I've been in the charity sector now for a considerable number of years. and so I've got the housing experience and also working in charity. So we talked about what we do and how to collaborate and work well together. So for me, I think doing this is a very good thing. And I'm just surprised that we don't have so many people on this event today, because there's so many people with so many good ideas and things that people want to do. And so seeing that what you guys have set up and the presentation today has been excellent. I just wish I knew about this earlier and you know, help to promote it and stuff like that. So yes, I will be contacting the speakers, and I think it's a very good thing that ACC is doing, and with people giving their time and doing this, I think it's a fantastic thing. So well done to those people. I know David has said it before, and it's just, you know, I applaud you guys for what you've doing and what you've presented today. It's quite good. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Edith, for that feedback. And actually, you've lined up very nicely to my next request. So I didn't actually prep you to do that, but I appreciate that. So Community Connect for April was very much a pilot for the Sectors Communities team. And like all good teams, we need to evaluate the effectiveness of the month's activities. So feedback is really important, not just the good feedback, but actually the constructive stuff. So the warts and all, really. At the end of the session, we will circulate a feedback form, and honestly, we'd be so grateful if you could complete that very honestly, so that we can think about what next for the year ahead. Our job is all about connecting our members and future members to make their lives easier, or maybe more challenged, or progress their careers, or just amplify them and our brand. So please, when you get that feedback form, if you could complete it as soon as you could. We know that feedback forms generally sometimes get left and don't get completed. So that's my shout out to everybody. I think what I would say is that I'd love to carry this format on. I think the power is in our members for sure. And so hopefully we will have something similar, or if not the same, moving along the year. Another shout out is you've heard about all of the great things that you can share on social media with your communities from Chris and Narayan, and take advantage of those resources and those assets to generate conversations with your communities, and let us know what people are saying, because your insights drives that agenda so much. I think we are going to take a poll. I think we're going to do that shortly. I'd be grateful if you could complete that. But that was really what I had to say. I wanted to say thank you on behalf of the UK team and the ACCA wider team. It's been a great month. I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing everybody, listening to your stories, as I said, and answering some of your questions. So I think Amanda's just posting the poll. So if you could complete that, we'll be able to, that will be one measure to see where we started and where we've ended today. So
hopefully everybody's got a little bit more sense of the ACCA community and how they can contribute, and other people that they've met and taken part, and things that, you know, you can influence and how you can make an impact as well. So hopefully if you take anything away from that Community Connect sessions that you've been involved with, that is it. So yeah, we'd really appreciate your responses to that as well. And if you could use the reactions buttons just to do a little thumbs up, just to let us know that you have answered that, then we can move on.
Right. And just before we find, you know, our final 5 minutes, is there any other questions for any of us, observations, feedback that you're willing to share at this stage?
I think we've got Evans Chisala on as well. I know Evans has been in a session.
Yes, I'm on the session. Yeah, but
hi, Evans.
sorry. Hi. No, not really. I don't have anything to contribute. I've just been listening. And they had a glitch at the beginning because I didn't realize the platform had changed. So yeah, I jumped on quite late. Yeah.
Thanks.
It had gone to my old email. I think I have to update my my email on SCCA.
You attended the session at the beginning, didn't you?
I did. Yes,
Evans,
I
the one
did.
about
Yes,
advocates at the heart of the community. How did you find that?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I think it's something which should be encouraged in my view, and going forward as well. That the organization, I think, has got brilliant things that they're doing for the communities, and involving everyone, every member is quite important, and it will be stronger in that way as SCCA, as a brand.
Great. Thanks, Evans. I think we've got a hand up from Stephanie and then David, I think.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hiya. It's a bit of a random question, really. I just thought I'd ask while we've got so many people on. We've got a new starter where I work, and she was thinking of starting. She's come to us from the police, so she's come into the NHS, and now she is thinking of doing ACCA instead. Fantastic. So I just wondered, is there anything that anywhere I can point her in the direction of on the website, or anyone I could put her in touch with or something?
There is, but we have a business development manager, Sandy Aitken, who looks after NHS. So I can take your details, Stephanie, and I'll connect you into him, and he'll be really happy to talk through with the trainee about ACCA. No problem at all.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. Today's session was great. I didn't attend anything in April. Sorry. I've had a bit of a crazy month this month, but I always feel really valued, and I always feel like I always get a lot of support being on the panel, and I do feel like we're making a difference, and I am really proud to be on the panel. So I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Brilliant. I'm just going to send you my email address. If you drop me a note, and then I'll forward that on to Sandy.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie. And I think David, over to you.
Thank you. Somebody spoke there about the Advocates at the Heart of the Community session at the start of April. For my own part, I want to really sing the praises of the organisers, but also the contributors. There was immense positive energy present in that event, and one of the key takeaways from it, which I'd like to share with this audience, and I think it was Sharon Critchlow at the time mentioned it. Regardless, the question that gets asked by people is, but how can I get involved, or can I actually contribute anything here? And the one resounding message that came away from that event at the start of April is that regardless of your longevity or otherwise of membership of ACCA, and regardless of your seniority or otherwise in an employer, yes, absolutely there are ways you can contribute, many and varied, and your own personal experiences or circumstances are one such.
Thank you, and you're absolutely right. Doesn't matter how small, how big, anything is acceptable for us. So yeah, that's a great way to end, David. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time out, the speakers, the team, but above all the members that are on the call. Really appreciate seeing you, connecting in with you, and just for me to wish you a very happy weekend when it gets here. May Day, bank holiday, make the most of it. Hopefully the sun will shine, and thank you again for all of your contributions. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.
Have a nice weekend.
Bye bye.
Everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.